Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, sorry about the really crappy setup. I'm sorry about that today. I'm banging out a quick and dirty video for you because I have a lot of questions about costs of the sale and I got guys coming over, so I want to make sure everybody understands. Okay, so what does it cost to buy a house in Italy? What are the closing costs? What are the taxes? How does that all work? What are the commission fees? When are they paid? Blah, 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 blah. So I am looking on a website called accountingbolla.com, B-O-L-L-A. I'm going to put a link in the details so you can go look because it lays it out really beautifully here. Okay, the first thing is the essential taxes. The number one tax is stamp duty. This is probably the biggest tax that you have to deal with here. And it's sort of rolled into the NOTAIO'S fees, at least in Calabria. I don't know what it's like in the rest of Italy, but in Calabria, the notaio takes all the money and his fee really includes all of these taxes and his personal fee for doing the service. Okay, so the thing is, if you're buying a house to be your primary property in Italy, you're going to pay 2% of the cadastral value of the house, okay? Cadastral value is just basically the value that they use to base taxes on. It's usually less than the market value. However, it can vary a little bit. It's a good thing to ask your agent, what is the cadastral value of this house, okay? It's never gonna be less than €1,000. All right, now, if you're planning on getting residency and living here, it's best if you do that before you purchase your house because it's then not a secondary residence, it's a primary residence. If it's a primary residence, you're paying 2% of the cadastral value. If it's a secondary residence, you're paying 9% of the cadastral value, and that can be significant when you get to the bigger homes or the more expensive homes. Now, in addition, there are some more taxes that you're going to pay. Like, for example, if you buy from a builder, you're going to pay more. Also, if your house is considered a luxury house, you're going to pay up to 22% of the cadastral value. If you're buying a new house, the cadastral value is probably going to be closer to the market value. Keep that in mind. These are significant hits if you're not ready for them. All right, then you have a land registry tax, anywhere from €50 to €200. There's also a mortgage tax, which again is anywhere from €50 to €200. And then you have the notary fee. What I've seen him charge is about €1,200 for his services. Okay, so let's go over briefly what happens in an Italian real estate purchase. The first thing you do is you find a home that you really love, and then you agree on a price. And that's the negotiations between the two agents or whoever's acting on behalf of the buyer and the seller. And sometimes the sellers will just sell it to you directly. Okay, so negotiations happen and then you agree on a price. In order to cement that agreement, you sign what's called the COMPROMESSO, which is the promise to buy. With that, you send the deposit. Once you've done that, it's binding. And if you pull out, you lose your deposit. If they pull out, they pay you double the deposit. Also, if something happens to where they find something that has to be handled and it's way more expensive than they thought and they don't want to do it, they still have to pay, okay? So you're pretty protected as far as that goes. How we do it is normally we send the deposit directly to the seller. However, we send it through a company called TRANSFERWISE or OFX or something where you have a really good digital record of what you've paid. That digital record then goes to the notaio as part of his checks. He checks to make sure that the deposit's been paid. He checks everything to make sure that there's no liens on the property, that you know of any easements on the property, that there's really no encumbrances on the property that you're getting. It's free and clear, and you're going to have full and free use of that property when you get it, or you understand if there's any sort of encumbrances on the property, meaning easements or other people's rights to it, okay? It also delineates exactly what property you're getting and what it consists of, so that's something you want to pay really, really close attention to when you sign your compromesso. Sometimes I've heard of people thinking that the garden comes with it, only to find after they've signed the act that the garden didn't go with it. Now that is a case of pretty bad activity on the part of the agent and or translators, but that was the case. So please make sure you really understand and translate your compromesso. And what I do is when I receive the compromesso, I translate it for you. I send you both copies. Once you've done that and the notaio's done all his checks, what has to happen is the seller then needs to make sure there's a current cadastral plan or floor plan that exactly matches the property. Sometimes people add on things, sometimes two properties are joined as one. There's all kinds of things that can happen with the properties. The numbers on the properties can change too. You don't really need the address number like number 1 Via Venezia or whatever. What you need is the cadastral parcel numbers and page numbers and all of that stuff, and it's all delineated in your compromesso, and it will also be delineated in your final act contract. When your sellers get the new cadastral plans, they also get what's called an APE, which is an energy statement, which has to be purchased and validated. They're in it for about 12 to 1,500 euros. Basically, that's one of the reasons you don't get your deposit back. They're incurring some pretty significant costs in order to be able to sell this property. Okay, now, the day of the final signing happens, all of the checks are done, all of the cadastral plans are there, everything is all good. You show up at the NOTAIO'S office and he reads point by point through the contract, and you know exactly what you're buying, exactly what you're paying, who the money is going to, and that whole thing. Prior to your NOTAIO'S appointment, you have to have the money in the NOTAIO'S escrow account, or he's not going to do the appointment. He needs to be able to disperse those funds immediately upon the signing, and then you get your keys. So that's how the sales process goes. Now, another question is, Chris, how do you get paid? And that's a really good, legit question. In Italy, unlike in America, there are 2 separate commission payments paid, and they're paid by the buyer and the seller. Okay, in America, the seller pays for everything. In Italy, the buyer pays the buyer agent commission and the seller pays the seller agent commission. Now, I am not a licensed real estate agent in Italy, and it's very important that everybody know that, and that I don't get a commission. What I get is a marketing fee or a consulting fee, and that's a whole different thing. However, you're not going to pay that on top of the buyer's agent commission. I hope that's clear, because we basically set it up so that you don't incur any additional costs for my services. For the less expensive properties, there is a minimum fee of $2,500 on both sides, just because every property purchase entails a lot of work. So there is a minimum of 2,500 euros, and that's pretty much standard throughout the area. I'm going to put some links in the details below so you can see, but I wanted to make sure everybody really understood how that all worked and what the final end result is going to be. Now, with the NOTAIO, you're going to be pretty well protected. His job is to make sure everybody fully understands and is on board when they're buying a property, and that the property is free and clear and ready to go. When you're ready to pay the balance of the property purchase price, after you've paid the deposit, that is wired into the NOTAIO'S escrow account, and then he disperses the money from there. So you're pretty secure all along the way. The NOTAIO is very good about making sure nobody gets messed with, nobody gets taken advantage of. He does his absolute best, but then you have to do your due diligence too. You must translate these contracts and really fully understand what you're getting when you're getting it. Ask questions, don't feel stupid. It's very important. I hope this helps, guys. Please write me if you have any questions or problems at info@supersavvytravelers.com. And let's go look at some more properties. See ya.